Hi. Something's been sitting on my mind pretty heavy. This weekend, we lost Mac Miller to an overdose, and they saying lean was what he was drinking. And if anybody knows me, they know that I'm a huge hip-hop fan. I love hip-hop. I love the old school. I'm feeling a lot of the little new school artists and everything. Hell, my neighborhood right now, where I'm from, where I live at right now, one of the artists that's coming up and coming is Gunu. I remember seeing this little kid coming up, and now he's becoming next in line. I told you all about the side effects of the antidepressant when you have anxiety and depression and stuff. One of the side effects of these is depressions, and you hear a lot of these young cats when they rapping and they doing their music and stuff, they talk about how they suffer from depression and everything. Now, I don't know if it started before the use of lean and the prescription drugs, the mollies and stuff that they talking about, but I do know that one of the side effects of using these is depression, suicidal thoughts, over drinking, and everything that anxiety, everything that you can think of with it. Now, I just wanted to touch on this because, as I said, for years I've been fighting the use of it for what I've been suffering from. Because I know the side effects. I pay attention. I grew up in the 80s. I knew how the crack epidemic and how coke and all of that stuff had came in and literally ruined families, ruined lives completely, from everything that you can think of as bad, selling your kids to selling yourself to stealing from your grandmother, doing all of this type of stuff. And in 2018, this is the technology age. So if you all are using these drugs and thinking that it's just fine, well, I want you all to take a long look at the 80s and at the 90s, and hell, during the 70s when the heroin and everything was coming through and it was killing people by the thousands. If you can see some of your biggest artists, well, who did we lose from drinking lean? We lost Lil Pip. This year we also lost, what's his name, Phaedro Santana. If you don't know who he is, he's with Keith Chief. I'm an old school kid girl, so you know a lot of us don't know who none of these are, but I stay close to hip hop. I have teenage kids, to the new hip hop anyways. I have teenage kids, as well as I always, hip hop is a part of me. I wanted to be a rapper myself at a time. And for my generation and for a lot of people who it should have been a cautionary tale, was Pimp C, who was talking about drinking lean and got arrested and came home, and not shortly after he came home, he's dead from ODing on lean. You have Lil Wayne, who's going through seizures. You have so many artists that's showing you do not mess with this stuff. And yet we still have people, our youth in our culture, not just the hip hop culture, but the culture of the black people and white people and all of these kids walking around taking and doing these drugs. And I'm here to tell you, it's not good for you. It's not going to help you. Only thing that you're going to do, you're going to wake up one morning and you're going to find yourself tweaking for this, and you can't find it. And here it is. We back in the 80s where grandmothers is getting knocked upside the head. Like, a lot of this crap that you hear going on these days stem from kids trying to get to these drugs and get the money so they can do these drugs. A lot of crazy stuff, and a lot of stuff that we didn't even hear unless it was an epidemic. I read it on an article where they said a 14-year-old boy had raped and killed an old woman. I forgot how old they said she was, but he did all of that. And I'm thinking, what would possess the 14-year-old to want to do that to this old grown woman, this woman that he got to look at? Like, not only he's 14, so if at the age, I want to say that it was like she was 83, maybe 93. At her age, she would be looking like his great grandmother. And what would make him want to do that to this woman? And then all these news cycles and keep surfacing about this drug and that drug, or I'm listening to this music and they doing all of this stuff. Not that I'm blaming the music, because I love hip hop. Hip hop is a voice for the youth. That's how it started. That's how it's going to end. We're not going to allow anyone to come in and destroy the art and the culture that I love and that so many other people love, or for foolishness. The responsibility of people, of those in hip hop, is, yeah, you want to tell people your story, and I'm struggling with this, or I'm doing this every day, but you also want to be cautionary. We had Public Enemy and all these other rappers get together to speak about the effects of the crack and the coke and whatever else was in alcohol and everything that was sitting here destroying us inside and out. I just wanted to touch on that real fast, because it was really sad. A 26-year-old should not be dead. A 27-year-old shouldn't be dead. These are the best. These are your formative years, literally. Like, this is when you're about to hit your cycle of midlife, when you actually start to get it together and actually start thinking about life. And if you're dying at these young ages, I'm not even going to put it all on just the OD, the gang violence and the foolishness that comes with you all trying to psych up your home, or your homeboy psyching you up, or trying to become these artists, these personas that you putting in music, is not healthy. We seen this come from. We lost Biggie and Tupac because of personas. We lost Jam Master Jay because people were basically hating on how they got to where they are. I don't know the whole story about everybody's life and what they doing outside of what they do in the music, but the one thing I do know is you speak your life into existence. So if you're saying these things about yourself, and I say this in particular, my kid, my son and my daughter have, they love this new artist. What's his name? NBA Youngboy, and he got kind of this Machiavellian feel to his music, where he talk about how he think he's gonna die and everything because he got all this beef within the music industry and in the streets. And it's just like, why do we have to suffer through another year, another generation of losing our kids, when music is there, when music was there to escape them from the projects and out the hood? I mentioned earlier Gulnu. Now, like I said, I seen this young kid come up, and I see where he is now, and I see what he's doing. Like, I see this guy around the neighborhood. He makes sure the kids in the neighborhood is straight. He makes sure that, you know, if he's going to the pool, he's seeing the other kids out here, because most of the time you got to pay for the pool passes. He makes sure that he invites them, buy them pool, get them pool passes, take them to the ice cream truck, just do things like that. And regardless of his music, I see like him wanting to reach out. So I know that that his ending in this industry isn't gonna be ineffective, because my neighborhood alone is that my neighborhood alone loves this kid. You're like, you know, he comes through, and he comes through, and that's the type of, I don't want to say role model, because no one should be looking at anybody else outside of their parents, you know, someone that they actually know as a leader or a role model, something to idolize. But when I see artists like this, and I see people like this, that I know that there is good in them, no matter what they saying and what they may do on top of that. And so that's why I kind of became a fan of his as well, because I seen this guy throughout my day. I can sit on my balcony, and I go on the front, and I can watch his movements through the neighborhood. I seen him sit down and talk to the young kids in the neighborhood. So my actual purpose of this is, if you can find your way through anxiety, without the medication, and you can find yourself through life without suffering through the chemical imbalance that you're guaranteed to have when you're taking these medications, drinking every day, smoking whatever drug that you decided to smoke at that day. That is going to be your best weapon against this. Right now, I'm about to close this down because if you can hear in the background, I have a little intruder that's trying to get my attention, and that is my focus 24/7. No matter what I'm going through. I had a conversation with my oldest daughter who finally had a breakdown yesterday to explain to me that she missed the relationship that we had and the things that I used to do, and that is like very eye-opening. As I said, I'm going to end this now. I just want you all to remember that you're not alone when you're suffering through adolescence, you're suffering through anxiety, and you're suffering through depression. Do not think for 1 minute that you can't talk to somebody. You know, you may not be able to talk to your parents or your friends or your brothers and sisters to understand what you're going through. But there's somebody out there who does know what you're going through. There is therapy out there to help you. Like, I don't understand this, and I was one of them people, so I do kind of understand. I don't understand this why do people want to, especially in my community, why we always say things like, oh, I don't need a therapist, all I need to do is take it here or take it there. I'm not going to say what a lot of people say, but therapy helps. And when you grow up in the hoods, and you grow up in for the white people, you grow up in these trailer parks and everything, and you see the destruction of your own family member as well as the neighborhood, you don't know that you're subconsciously subjecting yourself to things like PTSD, depression, and anxiety, and all of these things. It's like it's a part of these. Just like they get it in the rich neighborhoods, we get it in the poor neighborhoods too. We get it in the middle class neighborhoods as well. You're not subject to not having these effects, especially if your life is seeing trauma. My life, for one, I've seen trauma after trauma after trauma, one thing after another. So I know that it can't. And I've lived from the hoods to the suburbs. I've lived where I was homeless at one point. I lived where I had to rely on people who I necessarily don't trust 100%, but I have to be with these people because I needed a roof over not only my head, but my kids' head. And my story can go on for hours. These things do affect you. No matter how strong you say you are, it does affect you. So talking to someone that can actually help you, whether it's a professional or someone who's actually been through and they're trying to get themselves together, like this forum as well. Talk to someone else. As I said, this is my journal, but I'm going to be on here a lot to speak about a lot of different things. And I don't know, that Mac Miller death kind of really hit me hard when I seen how old he was, 26 years old. I remember where I was at 26 years old. I was partying, I was living, I was doing everything that could have been self-destruction. I was fighting constantly for one thing after another. And I had a episode with a young lady, one of my daughter's friends, who came through and she was having issues in her home. I'm not going to speak on what her issues was, and it broke me down just to talk to this girl, to the point where I even got offensive to her mom, who I really don't even know this one. I don't know what they was going through, but I spoke defensively as well as offensively, because I see I've been this girl. I've been these kids. And I seen kids who grew up like that. Like, this child remind me of one of my sister's old friends. And she had a horrible life. And just all of these things. And a lot of times we get so wrapped, as parents, we get so wrapped up in our own lives that we forget that our children are seeing us. And we forget that even though we may not speak on it, they notice, they witness things constantly. And if we don't sit down and talk to them as well as we try to get the help that we need and try to get them some help too, we subsequently create another generation of whatever we're going through. My goal right now is to focus and figure out exactly what I need to do, so I will never see another day where my child, my strong, that's my warrior. Like, you understand, this girl don't cry, and she's breaking down, and she's pleading her heart out to her mother, how she misses her mother. I don't want another day like that. And so my goal was always to make sure I made it to her graduation. But my goal is to make sure now to be there and to show my child that regardless of what I'm going through, that I'm not going to stop. So I hope you all got something from this conversation. I'll speak to you later. Bye.